We may never know what truly happened inside Michael Taylor's mind that night. Was he a man drowning in untreated mental illness? A fragile soul twisted by religious hysteria and fear? Or was he something else entirely? A vessel for something inhuman? The line between madness and possession is razor thin. One grounded in science, the other in ancient fear. But when a man rips apart the woman he loves with his bare hands, when he bathes in her blood and laughs in the street, when he claims without hesitation, "The devil made me do it," how do we even begin to explain that? Was it the church? Was it Marie? Was it Michael himself? Or was it something darker, something waiting in the shadows of our faith, feeding on our guilt, our fears, our silence? Whatever the truth may be, one thing remains certain. Evil doesn't always knock. Sometimes it walks in, disguised as someone you thought you knew. And if this story disturbed you, good, because it's meant to. We tell these stories not just to shock, but to remember, to question, and to warn. So if you want more terrifying true crime cases, disturbing mysteries, and stories that blur the line between reality and nightmare, subscribe to our channel. New episodes every week. And if you believe that sometimes darkness doesn't live out there, but inside, then you're exactly where you need to be. The trial was over, but the story was far from finished. Michael Taylor was sent to Broadmoor Hospital, one of England's most notorious facilities for the criminally insane. Behind tall brick walls and steel-barred windows, he lived in isolation. Watched, monitored, medicated. In the eyes of the law, he wasn't a murderer. He was a victim, a man driven to madness by religious manipulation and spiritual hysteria. But what about the eyes of the public? To the people of Ossett, he was something else, a monster, a man who tore his wife apart with his bare hands, and then claimed the devil did it. Christine Taylor's family never recovered. Her 5 children were left without a mother, without answers, without closure. Marie Robinson faded into obscurity. Once considered a spiritual healer, she now lived under a cloud of disgrace, accused of emotional manipulation, of playing God, of awakening something in Michael she couldn't control. As for the Church of England, they quietly distanced themselves from the event, issuing a rare statement declaring that no further exorcisms would ever be performed under their authority. To this day, they have kept that promise. Michael was eventually released from Broadmoor after several years of treatment. He was never the same. In 1981, he attempted suicide for the first time. Then again, and again. In 2005, 3 decades after the murder, Michael Taylor's name returned to the headlines. This time, for making inappropriate sexual advances toward a teenage girl. He was arrested, declared mentally unfit to stand full trial, and once again institutionalized. The people of Ossett were horrified, not just by what he had done, but by what it meant. Had the exorcism truly failed? Had the 3 demons ever left him? Or were they just lying dormant, waiting? To this day, psychologists cite the Michael Taylor case as a chilling example of how untreated mental illness, religious zeal, and emotional vulnerability can collide with catastrophic consequences. But others, priests, paranormal investigators, even skeptics, admit they still can't explain it all. The voices, the convulsions, the brutality of the murder, the eerie calm that followed. Was it madness or something else? Michael Taylor didn't resist arrest. He didn't run. He didn't scream. He simply collapsed. When officers questioned him, he spoke softly, confused, broken. He admitted the blood was likely his wife's, but insisted he had no memory of harming her. Again and again, he repeated the same chilling phrase, "The devil made me do it." Word of the murder spread like wildfire. Reporters flooded Ossett, cameras set up in front of the tiny church where the exorcism had taken place just hours earlier. And in the court of public opinion, chaos reigned. Some believed Michael was a cold-blooded killer, using religion as a smokescreen for murder. Others believed the exorcism had unlocked something dark inside him, something that had been waiting, watching. But everyone agreed on one thing. This case wasn't normal. On February 17, 1975, the trial began. Prosecutor Jeffrey Baker described the case as so bizarre it feels like something out of the Middle Ages. The court heard the brutal details, the mutilation, the blood, the inhuman savagery. Then they heard about the exorcism, about the 40 demons, about the 3 that were left behind. The prosecution argued that the exorcism had pushed Michael to the brink. A vulnerable, unstable man pushed into a psychotic break by religious hysteria and delusion. But the defense had a different theory. They blamed the Christian Fellowship group. They accused Marie Robinson and the priests of brainwashing Michael, manipulating his weakened mind into believing he was possessed. They didn't save him, the defense attorney said. They broke him. The courtroom listened in horror, and the public turned on the church. Marie Robinson was branded a manipulative cult figure. Father Vincent and Reverend Smith were accused of irresponsibility, even negligence, for releasing Michael after the exorcism. The backlash was swift. The Church of England announced it would cease all exorcisms indefinitely. It was a rare public admission of guilt. In March 1975, the jury reached its verdict. Not guilty by reason of insanity. Michael Taylor was sent to Broadmoor Hospital, a facility for the criminally insane. He would remain under observation for years, and while he avoided prison, he would never again be free. It was just after noon on Sunday, October 6, 1974, mere hours after the exorcism ended. Police Constable Ian Walker received a call about a man causing a disturbance near the Taylor residence. When he arrived, he found something out of a nightmare. There on the cold pavement was Michael Taylor. Naked, curled into the fetal position, his skin smeared with deep red. He was giggling, softly, almost childlike, as if trapped between two realities. At first, Walker thought it was paint, a prank, a breakdown, but then he smelled it. The metallic stench of blood, thick, fresh, human. When asked what had happened, Michael looked up slowly, blinking like he'd just woken from a long, terrible dream. "It's the blood of Satan," he whispered. "I think I've hurt someone. I think someone's dead." Backup arrived quickly. Officers rushed to the Taylors' modest home. Nothing could have prepared them for what was inside. The living room looked like a slaughterhouse. Christine Taylor, Michael's wife, lay in a pool of her own blood. Her body had been mutilated beyond recognition. Her face had been ripped apart, not cut, but clawed. Her eyes gouged out, her tongue torn from her mouth, clumps of hair and skin scattered across the floor like confetti from hell. Nearby, the family's poodle lay lifeless, strangled, disemboweled, its legs twisted at unnatural angles, torn from their sockets. Blood covered the walls, the carpet, even the ceiling. It wasn't a murder scene. It was carnage. The coroner later revealed Christine had choked on her own blood as she died. There were signs she had tried to fight back, but there was no chance, not against this. When Michael was informed of what he had done, he showed no resistance, no panic, just quiet confusion. He said he didn't remember it, said he had no idea how the blood got on him, said it must have been the devil. By the time the story broke, the media had a field day. Demon husband kills wife after exorcism. The devil made me do it. Osset horror. In the days that followed, the quiet village of Osset was torn open by shock, grief, and fear. Because now everyone was asking the same question. What really left that church with Michael Taylor? And had it ever left at all? Saturday, October 5th, 1974. The air in Osset was still, the kind of silence that presses against your skin, like something is waiting. That night inside the Church of St. Thomas in nearby Barnsley, 2 men prepared for battle, not with criminals, not with war, but with something far older and far darker. Father Peter Vincent, an Anglican priest, Reverend Raymond Smith, a Methodist minister. Their mission, to expel the demons believed to be possessing Michael Taylor. The church had agreed to the ritual after reports of Michael's violent behavior, his obsession with Marie Robinson, and his wife's desperate plea for help. but no one was ready for what they would face. At 10 p.m., the exorcism began. Michael was brought into the church restrained, not just to protect himself, but to protect others. He had already attacked Marie once. The priest feared what he might do again, and within minutes, those fears became reality. Michael erupted into fits of rage. He screamed blasphemies in guttural, unnatural voices. He writhed, spat, cursed, and howled. He foamed at the mouth. He growled like an animal. Witnesses said his strength was inhuman. His body contorted in impossible ways. He barked, bit, tried to break free. The exorcists tied him to the floor with rope, but even that wasn't enough to contain him. For 8 hours they battled. 8 hours of Latin chants, prayers, holy water, crosses pressed to his forehead. The priests claimed they confronted no fewer than 40 demons inside Michael, each representing a different sin: lust, greed, anger, blasphemy, bestiality, masochism, incest. One by one, they were cast out, and yet 3 remained. According to Father Vincent and Reverend Smith, the final demons refused to leave. They were the worst of all: violence, insanity, and murder. Exhausted, drenched in sweat, and mentally broken, the priest made a fateful decision. The ritual was over. Michael appeared calm, cleansed, quiet, and when asked how he felt, he replied with a smile, "Free." He was released just after 6:30 a.m. Christine, ever faithful, ever hopeful, took his hand and led him home. What no one knew is that the 3 demons weren't gone. They had simply waited, and within hours, they would unleash hell. By October of 1974, Michael Taylor was no longer the man Osset once knew. Gone was the kind father who played with his children. Gone was the loyal husband who made his wife laugh. In his place stood someone else. His moods shifted like shadows at dusk, calm one moment, seething the next. Friends who visited the Taylor home began to feel uneasy. They described him as distracted, detached, dangerous. Christine, his wife, bore the brunt of it all. Michael no longer spoke to her. He snapped. He no longer touched her. He pushed her away. His nights were no longer spent at home, but at the church hall, behind closed doors with Marie Robinson. The rumors grew louder, that they were lovers, that they were engaging in strange rituals, that Michael was slipping into something he didn't understand and couldn't control. Christine, tired of the whispers and terrified of the truth, confronted him directly. On the night of October 1st, 1974, she accompanied him to a fellowship gathering. As the group sat in prayer, Christine turned to Michael and accused him of infidelity. Right there, in front of Marie and everyone else, something snapped. Michael's body jerked upright. He screamed, incoherent, primal, almost animalistic. Then, in full view of the group, he lunged at Marie Robinson, knocking over chairs, sending people screaming. It took several members to restrain him. He writhed and twisted on the floor, foaming at the mouth, eyes rolling back. Marie tried to calm him, chanting in tongues, calling out the name of Jesus. But nothing seemed to work. His rage was inhuman. Finally, after nearly an hour, Michael collapsed, exhausted, silent. When asked what had happened, he claimed he remembered nothing. Not the accusation, not the attack, not the screaming. Marie forgave him, reluctantly. But in the back of her mind, fear had taken root. She saw something in his eyes that night. Not just anger, but something darker. Meanwhile, Christine pleaded for help. She told friends, neighbors, even the local vicar, "My husband is not my husband anymore." And for the first time, the church took notice. They didn't suggest therapy. They didn't call a doctor. They called for an exorcism. When Michael Taylor first stepped into the modest prayer house of the Christian Fellowship Group, he wasn't looking for miracles. He was a man broken, in pain, unemployed, directionless. What he sought was comfort, stability, maybe even forgiveness for the anger that had crept into his marriage. What he found was Marie Robinson. Marie was just 21 years old, but she had the presence of someone who carried divine weight. To her followers, she wasn't just a spiritual leader, she was a direct conduit to God. She claimed to speak in tongues to summon the Holy Spirit and, most of all, to battle demons. Michael was captivated. From their very first interaction, he seemed drawn to her, not just by her charisma, but by something deeper. Desperation, perhaps, vulnerability, the need to be seen, and Marie saw him. She welcomed him with open arms, called him a soul in crisis, and told him that God had a plan for him, that he was under spiritual attack, but could be saved. For a man like Michael, that was intoxicating. He became a fixture in the group overnight, attending every session, staying after prayer hours, volunteering for everything, and more, spending time alone with Marie. They'd pray together, sometimes deep into the night. Even when the group didn't meet, Michael would find excuses to see her. Some members of the group began whispering. It wasn't just prayer they were sharing. Christine, his wife, noticed. He was more distant than ever, cold, sometimes even hostile. The man she married was slipping further away, and she didn't know how to bring him back. Meanwhile, Michael's devotion to Marie grew obsessive. He started talking about demons, about forces trying to control him, about how Marie was chosen. He claimed the moon weakened her powers and that his presence gave her strength. Whether it was spiritual, psychological, or something else entirely, one thing was clear. Marie Robinson had become the center of Michael Taylor's universe. And for all her divine claims, Marie was still young, naive. She believed she was helping a troubled man. What she didn't realize was that she had opened a door. And something had come through. God is the answer, Barbara had said. And in a village like Osset, that answer made sense. So, one fateful day in September 1974, Michael stepped into the modest meeting hall of the group, unaware that he was walking into something far more dangerous than depression, because in that room, waiting to meet him, was a young, charismatic leader named Marie Robinson. And through her, Michael Taylor would begin a journey that would shatter his sanity, fracture his family, and awaken something within him that some still believe wasn't human at all. Before the blood, before the screams, before the world would come to know his name through headlines soaked in horror, Michael Taylor was just another ordinary man. He lived in the quiet English village of Osset, a close-knit, deeply religious community where everyone knew everyone, and Sunday church was the rhythm that held the town together. Michael was a husband, a father of 5, and by all accounts, a good man. Neighbors remembered him as friendly, soft-spoken, even humorous. His laughter often echoed from inside the Taylor home. He played with his children. He doted on his wife, Christine. He made modest wages, working hard to support his family. But in the spring of 1974, a small moment triggered a downward spiral. Michael suffered a minor injury while doing home repairs. A fall from the rafters left him with chronic back pain. Forced to quit his job, he became a man adrift. And what began as physical pain soon gave way to something much darker, a depression that consumed him from the inside out. At first it was subtle. He was quieter, less interested in conversation. But as weeks turned into months, Christine noticed frightening changes. He grew irritable, suspicious, distant. His temper, once non-existent, flared without warning. Friends no longer visited. The house that once echoed with warmth became colder, quieter, heavier. Christine tried to help, but love alone couldn't compete with whatever was gripping Michael from within. Desperate, she turned to a trusted family friend, Barbara Wardman, who offered a spiritual solution. She urged Michael to attend a local Christian prayer group, known simply as the Christian Fellowship. It was a quiet morning in the sleepy village of Osset, West Yorkshire, a place where nothing ever happened. But on October 6, 1974, that peace was shattered. A man was seen running through the streets, screaming incoherently, completely naked, and drenched in what onlookers thought was red paint. It wasn't. It was blood. When police arrived, they found him curled up on the ground, giggling maniacally, unable or unwilling to explain what had happened. He only said one thing: "The devil made me do it." This man was Michael Taylor. What happened next would send shockwaves through England and spark one of the most disturbing cases in British true crime history, one that still haunts investigators, clergy, and psychologists to this day. Was this the act of a severely disturbed man pushed to his limits? Or was it something far more sinister, a literal case of demonic possession? The answers lie in a story that blurs the line between religion, madness, and evil, where even the church would be forced to confront its demons. This is the terrifying true case of Michael Taylor.